Hey, what's good with the YouTube? This is your boy Rojo. And this is the Rojo. What's cracking, man? Hopefully everybody's Monday is going good. Got through the weekend, get back to the grind, get your hustle on, pay them bills, stack that paper, and enjoy. Work sucks, but we all got to do it in some form of fashion. What I'm going to talk about today is good old San Quentin, Rojo's first trip to Quentin, and my first trip to the hole. Now, I got sentenced when I was 18. I show up in San Quentin like February of 1993, I believe it was. Yeah, maybe March. Oh, got a J number, J1, J11230, my first number. I had 12 felonies, man. I signed a plea for 2 years because independently, there was like 12 felonies. I did 11 of them. The major one that I didn't do was the banger. This is pre-three strikes law. So I had like 10 commercial burglaries. We used to go in the stores, jewelry stores, gun stores, shit like that. I had an auto theft, and I had one first-degree burglary, which is residential. That's more serious than the other ones, right? So I pled guilty to it, even though I didn't do it because they offered me 2 years for all that stuff. I was like, oh shit, I'll be out quick. So like that was their first offer. I signed it. Next thing you know, I'm smoking. I'm on my way to Quentin. So I show up in Quentin, man. Oh, it was a trip, bro. I remember thinking to myself, damn, he made it to the big house, boy. I thought I was cool. So I show up, man. I got an other celly. I was on the 5th tier, Bayside. This was before they started putting all the Southerners there, whatever. There wasn't no Southerners in Quentin. I didn't know where they were. They were there somewhere, maybe in the hole, I don't know. But in the first part of '93, there was no Southsiders in Quentin. Alpine, Badger, Donner, Carson, none of them. So I'm celled up with the other. We come on the bus together. He was like from Alameda County though, because Contra Costa and Alameda had showed up the same day. And he was a cool older dude. I want to say he was a Portuguese, but I'm not 1,000%. I don't remember for sure. He was either a Spaniard or a Portuguese though, but he ran other. And that's how they put me down in the system, because I didn't want to come in as a Wood or as a Northerner, because obviously I don't associate with the Woods like that, and I didn't want to say I was a gang member. Essentially, that's what one of the OGs told me to do, and I did it. So what you call it? I go up there. I'm on the 5th tier, man. I remember going to my cell, my little sheets and blankets and towels, and I remember looking over the side like, man, that's a long way down, bro. If I got to get into it with somebody, I'm not getting into it with them way up here, bro, because, man, it's far. You know what I mean? I remember flicking like a piece of paper off and counting. I was like, you know what I'm saying? It took a long time for that piece of paper to hit the ground, man. It was kind of like, it gave me that vertigo feeling like, oh, snap. Right, so Shelly was cool, man. I go out. I remember I go to, man, I don't think we seen the child movement the first night I was there. I don't think we got to our assigned housing until afterwards. So the next day I go out to breakfast and stuff, and the white boys are getting at me. They're like, hey, what's up, brother? I'm like, hey, I run with the Norteños, bro. And they just all look at me like, ew, like I got cooties, right? And no homeboys approached me, man, but look at me. This is free tattoos. I think I had like that little XIV right there. I think that's the only tattoo I had, bro, that was any kind of gang related stuff. So I go in there to get breakfast or whatnot, and I look for the homies. I grab my tray, I go to sit down, and they almost did me like they did Miklo and Bound by Honor. They were like, hey, trespassing. I'm like, nah, I'm a homeboy. And even they were like, oh, okay, it's all good. I mean, you could kind of tell because white boys weren't allowed to have tails. I didn't have a Mongolian, but I had one of them old school rat tails, and it was like bling bling. It was long. So I introduced myself, meet a bunch of homeboys, and I'm gonna shout out somebody from Hayward, man. Donnie Lewis, man, OG from back in the day. Shout out to Donnie Lewis. He like took me under his wing, and he taught me a little bit, gave me there wasn't really HHPs and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, man, we were sleeping all day, doing what we wanted to do. And, you know, I mean, I went to every time I was allowed out of the cell, I got the hell out of there, man, because I was like, man, this little last cell, man, get me the F out of here. So, but I don't remember anything ever getting any kind of papers explaining HHPs, you know, anything, household policies, you know, expectations, conduct. I don't remember getting none of that my first time going to Quentin. So, you know, I meet all the homeboys there. Homeboys were deep, man. There was probably, I think we had 4 tables right there, 4 per table. I don't remember how wide, but there was a lot. And that was just, you know, they only do it a couple sections at a time. So, you know, there was as many homeboys as there was blacks or whites. You know what I mean? So it was, they were deep. So I remember coming back one day, I almost got into a wreck coming back from chow because I'm walking with my cellie and he looked like he was like Latino, but light. You know, the white boys, you know, probably thought me and him were one of them. So they let us stay out on the little West Block yard. I don't even know what you call it. It's not the upper yard, but whatever. And I seen some black dude I knew from the county jail from Richmond. You know, I was in juvenile hall with them actually. And he's like, hey, what's up, Red? And I go over there and I'm talking to him. And, you know, we're shaking hands, we're smoking. And, you know, I look over, and the white boys are giving me the death stare, right? So I'm over there with them for about 5, I don't know, 10 minutes or whatever. And the homeboys were kind of by the handball court, kind of like right by where the, you know, and the area right next to it is the entrance to South Block, you know, out by Badger Donna Carson. And then the other way is the chow hall. So I see all the homeboys over there. So I start strolling over there. 2 white dudes come and intercept me. They're like, hey, brother, what are you doing hanging out? And no offense to anybody, I just want to say it how it is. It's not the N-word or nothing, but a derogatory word they used about the black man was toad. And this dude said, hey, what were you doing hanging out and smoking with them toads, brother? I'm like, hey, first of all, homie, I'm not your brother. And, you know, second of all, you know, if you think somebody's a toad or whatever, because it was a common thing in Cocoa County, they used to use that word, you know, in a derogatory fashion. So I'm like, look, you know, you could tell him he's a toad on me, but that, you know, if you guys got a problem with me, what's up? And they're like, oh, we didn't know you were Northern or this and that. We thought you were. I'm like, all right. And I kept pushing, you know, and that, man, it was this close because I thought we were going to fight, man. You know what I mean? So I'm ready to go because I just got done in the county jail dealing with the Cocoa County Woods, bro. And they were a pain in the ass. So I go over to the homeboys and tell them what happened. And Donnie Lewis, he's playing, I don't know, pinochle or spades, one of the two. He jumps up and he's like, let's go handle that. I'm like, oh, yeah, he was with Donnie Lewis was with the business, and I'll tell you more about him later. And I'm like, no, it's all right, OG, bro, don't even trip. And you know, I sat down and man, still nothing, still not too much about the schooling. You know what I mean? The basic only thing is not to be too buddy with the Woods. You know what I mean? And I already had that mentality anyway because, like I said, man, a lot of cell fights with the dudes in Contra Costa because at the time the Northerners were real light in that county. You know, you might be lucky to have 4 on each module. You know, you got A, B, C. A, B, and C are the main ones, essentially. E was for the girls, F was like for medical, D was the whole, and then T was the trustee for kitchen and laundry. But so there was 3 modules. There wasn't no Southsiders. All the Southsiders were in West County, and they weren't that thick back then. They had like 5 little cells for them. You know what I mean? Maybe 8. You know, so maybe there might be 16 of them in the whole system. They weren't allowed to go to the farm. They weren't allowed to stay at Martinez. They could only go to Building 4, which is, man, basically a lockdown. They did them dudes kind of dirty because they didn't know where to house them. They should have gave them the modules, what they should have done. But it is what it is. You know, the only things I really picked up before even Quentin the first time was, you know, don't say, you know, offense to nobody, don't say scrap. You know what I mean? The derogatory word for the homies from down south. You know what I mean? Don't say the N-word. Anytime there's a movement, you know, I learned that when I think they moved me to, I think I went to Badger. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure I went to Badger. Bear in mind, none of these were PCs, 50/50s. That stuff didn't exist back then. A, B, C, and D were all just an extension of West Block. There wasn't no hole in the Carson section back then. The hole was all on the yard side of East Block. So I think I go to Badger, met some other homeboys, and whoop-de-whoop. And, I learned a few little couple things. This OG from Dakota taught me how to make a piece out of a couple little things. None of the advanced like paper pieces and just basic razors, tomahawk, toothbrush, etc. You know what I mean? I didn't have no problems, man. I was there for, I don't know, 80 days before I got endorsed to Susanville and, ended up shooting up there, man. But San Quentin is a trip, man. It's like a museum. It's so old and so trippy. And it just makes you think about, especially when it's a reception center, how many bodies moved through West Block and stuff over the years and the history. I mean, the place was built, I want to say it's 1856. If I'm not mistaken, I'm real close. I might be off a year or two, but I want to say it's 1856 that place was built. And it's a trip, dude. It's kind of eerie. Your first time, it's intimidating, man. I'm not going to lie to you. You know what I mean? But anyway, no, there's no altercations, no nothing like that, man. Everything was real chill. The homeboys had a firm lock on that institution. Even in reception center, they had North Block. Obviously, the hole, I didn't go there yet. But anyway, my first trip to the hole in the 6-yard, man, I paroled from Susanville. I was only out like 38 days. They said I absconded, and I had gotten a high-speed chase and stuff. They couldn't prove it. They caught me a few blocks away. They arrested me, never charged me. I was guilty as a son of a bitch. But they never charged me, man. So I had parole from the hole in Susanville. We'll talk about that a different time. But when you parole, you come back to the hole to see classification committee, ICC, whatever you want to call it, to see why you're in the hole and how they were going to, house you currently. So they put me, I go right to East Block. I get off the bus, Contra Costa again. I go to the dummy cages, wait there all day. They take me to the hole, go in there, single man cells, tiny still, man, that's when I really got introduced to how the homeboys flow. My whole trip in Susanville, man, I didn't learn really nothing, bro. But man, they got at me right away with all kinds of questions. I'm like, who the hell are you, bro? You know what I mean? You writing a book, you know what I mean? But I answered it, you know what I'm saying? Because I heard the way people were talking to each other. There was a lot of yes sirs. It was just a real professional environment, something I had never seen before. You know what I mean? And some of the people that were there my first time, some legends, man. Big Smiley, Art Ramirez, Boxer from Frisco. You guys know Boxer, Paradigm Media News. Pocky, legendary Pocky from Salinas. Fish, DK, Chico Rose. There was like, I don't know, 7 or 8 C's on the yard. And probably all BS aside, 20 in our members in Western Crossing. So, man, it was a whole different environment, man. I go out to the yard, man, you go out there, you're cuffed, you know what I mean? They strip you down, handcuff you, you walk down the tier. I was on the 3rd tier. You walk down, go through this, you pass the death row yards, all the dudes at death row are lifting weights, playing basketball and whatnot. They pop open a gate. It's a one-way in, and then there's a gate on the right and left. To the right would be the Woods and the Southsiders. To the left would be the brothers and the homies. So I go out there, you know what I mean? They put me on the yard, and there's security right around the entrance. There's 2 black dudes, 2 Latinos, 2 Northerners. You walk in, you shake the brother's hand, you shake the homeboy's hand, you shake the other brother's hand, you shake the other homeboy's hand, and then you go around, and there'll be lines, like 5 or 6 wide. And whatever space is the next one open, if there's like 3 rows already, you go to the 4th row, 3rd position. You stand there, either with your arms folded in front of you, your hands behind your back, and just, at attention. You know what I mean? So after all the yard comes out, they break up. They do like little meetings for a few minutes, you know what I mean, and talk and whatever. Well, my first day, they pulled me to the side. They're like, hey, we got your NA report, new arrival report, and they had told me to go to the 6-yard before any of this happened. when they got me in the end of the report, they're like, hey, when you go to committee, ask them to go to the 6-yard. So that's what I do. So they put me on the 6-yard. I'm out there. They're like, hey, ask me a little bit about myself, why I was in the hole, what my status was, you know what I mean? And, I just told them, hey, look, I was in the hole in Susanville, but it was just for a quick hot minute before I went home. I just gave them my situation, like, all right, well, this is, man, they gave me, after they met me, when I came back to my cell, they gave me all the household policies, but they briefly ran me down on the yard too. I got to meet Big Smiley, and I was like, oh shit, yeah. And F tattooed on him, I was like, oh, I made the big time, bro. You can't tell me nothing, I'm a gangster, right? So, I chopped it up with Boxer, Rex Posado from Daly City, Chico. I chopped it up with some real, significant individuals, from the movement, from the Big Smiley all the way back from the 70s to even nowadays. And man, I just got a general breakdown, man. We did some burpees. I was like, oh, this isn't cool. You know what I mean? Big Boxer ran the machine, and Big Boxer ran a grown-up machine. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, this every day? What are you talking about, bro? Am I in trouble? Right? So Big Boxer wasn't playing on his burpee, so that boy could go. I went to little classes. They'd have like 2 classes, one for bros, one for hands. I was a regular hand. Went to the little class. I was like, oh, this is me, bro. And I don't even remember what concept we were talking about. Maybe securing a main line or something. I don't remember. It's been 30 years, you know what I mean, damn near. And I was like, oh, I like the education part, you know what I mean? Got a little essay assignment, and went back to the cell. I was like, oh, this ain't too bad, man. But that was my introduction to, functioning as a quote unquote real norteño. I didn't do all the northern stuff, none of that. It was norteños, hermanos, and familianos. That's it. That's what I talk about. That's what I know. And man, there was a lot of fishing. You know what I mean? Like moving, man, all day long. I was on the bars, man, because there was a big stretch in between me and the next homeboy, like 7 cells, so all day long fishing, and just all day long essays, writing letters. Quentin, it's you. A lot of people might think it's boring, but there's so much going on just listening. You don't see shit. You see the gunner, you see out the windows, you see 10 feet either way to the side of you, kind of, 20 feet. That's about it. It's pretty damn boring. You don't get no TV, you don't get no radio, you don't get nothing like that. What you get is a pen filler, some paper. After you go to the store, you can buy a little bit of something. Oh, after I was cleared, the homie shot me a care package, with all my essential hygiene products. Some stamped envelopes, some chinate, some frajos you can still smoke. And I just started going to the yard and learning stuff. You know what I mean? And that's where I ended up getting validated, man. They pulled me out one day, and they tell me I'm going somewhere. I don't remember where it was. So I told Boxer, I'm like, hey, they want me to go to such and such. He's like, well, just go and give me a report when you get back or what happened. Well, they lied, and they took me to the IGI office over like, I don't remember where it was, over by North Block or something, in the offices. And he's like, you need to tell me who's running this dude, Miranda. He's a legend. He's validated 2,000 homeboys probably. He's like, you need to tell us who's running the yard and the chain of command out there. I'm like, at the time, I'm a G, bro. I'm like, I'm not telling you shit, lame. You know what I mean? And he's like, well, I'm going to validate you. I'm like, man, I was short to the house, bro. I was just on a little quick, like 7 months with half violation or something, something insignificant. And no, excuse me, I take that back. I was on a year because I ended up going to Pelican Bay right from there. They gave me a year with half, and I went to Pelican Bay for like 30 days left. The next time is when I had the short one. But I'm like, well, validate me then. He's all right, get the fuck out of my office. And they take me back. I tell Box what happened. He's like, fuck that punk. You know what I'm saying? You know how Boxer ain't changed. He's like, fuck that punk. So man, I swear to God, they usually talk about, you hear people talking about they're fighting, they're waiting for their validation. Man, they had me validated in a month, bro. I wasn't anything. I was a green ass, not knowing shit, skinny ass little dude. And they validated me quick, lied on my validation packet just because I wouldn't tell them. Man, the chain of command. big smileys out there. Fucking figure it out, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, come on, man. But they just wanted to snitch, you know what I'm saying? But I ended up getting validated out there in the yard. And so the next time I came to the yard after my validation packet came in, I told Box, I'm like, hey, I'm validated, man. I might as well be in it now. He's like, you serious? I'm like, yeah. That day I became an armor. That's what started the career right there. You know what I mean? But San Quentin's an interesting place. You see a lot of weird people, homie, because of death row. You know, you got these guys on death row that have done some interesting stuff. And, I remember talking with homeboys and looking at the death row yards, like, hey, you know who that dude is? And whoop-de-whoop. And like, man, that dude 8 people? And it's weird, bro. And I used to trip that they could get contact visits, you know, and man, that dude 8 people. And he has contact visits, and you guys pretend like I'm in a gang, and I got to have a visit behind the glass. I don't know. San Quentin's a trip, man. It's very historical, very old, very eerie. You know what I mean? People ask me all the time, hey, have you seen ghosts and stuff? No, I'm not going to lie and be like, oh, yeah, there's ghosts. For one, I don't believe in the stuff. And for two, I just didn't see it personally. That's my experience. But it's a very creepy old place, man. And, you know, at 18 years old, it's a little bit intimidating. I mean, you don't let it show. Oh, and the showers in West Block, back to the first time I was there, so gross, man. So gross. 50 people in there naked, standing water, pubic hair everywhere. It's disgusting, bro. But you have to go for all movement. You know what I mean? It's nasty, man. So anybody out there that doesn't like showering with a bunch of men, just donk piece everywhere, dirty toes, it's disgusting, man. But anyway, man, that's just a little bit about San Quentin, my personal experience, my first time going there, and then my first time hitting the hole in there. And man, I've probably actually done more time in Quentin with all the violations and, you know, et cetera, than I've done anywhere. Pelican Bay and Quentin are probably neck and neck. I can figure it out on paper, but San Quentin's it's historical, man. We'll just say that much. It's really historical. And it was a really, really, really mecca epicenter of a lot of very well-schooled, high-ranking, intelligent people within the Northern cause, you know, the NF umbrella, you know, since I started going there, even till nowadays. Your boy Rojo, this is the Rojo Room, a little bit of my experience, man. We'll probably do about 5 parts of these, man. So hopefully you enjoyed this, man. I'll holler at you later.